This lady here needs no introduction.
Oh, that's
Dua,
awesome.
thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. Hi, everyone.
So we're going to dive straight in. Dua and I met at a very funny place. So I'm going to leave you to tell the story. Everyone's like, how do you know each other?
Should I tell the story?
Yes, you tell the story.
Okay, so Edward and we met at the gym. And I was there for like a boxing lesson, and I saw Edward, and it was just as he had started his position at Vogue. And the beautiful cover with Adjoa had come out, and I'd absolutely loved it. And I think that was the first thing I said. I was like, congratulations, and it's so amazing what you're doing with Vogue, and I'm such a fan. Oh. And Edward, was so lovely to me, and we spoke for a little bit. And as I was leaving the gym, he'd left his number for me at the front desk.
Wasn't trying to pick her up.
And I was so excited, and we stayed in contact since. Like, Edward really took me under his wing and was always there for me, and really, really supportive. And I think we've got a very romantic story of how we met.
I know. I love the fact that we met in the gym.
All sweaty and
boxing. And basically, Dua for me represents excellence, excellence of youth, talent. Your energy is incredible. This woman's on tour worldwide, and is sitting here with us today. So thank you for joining us.
Anything for you. Thank you so much.
So I'm going to kick off with your tour.
Alrighty.
You've been touring since February.
Mm-hmm.
You've performed in how many shows? 92 shows?
No, 83.
Still a lot.
But we've got more coming. I'm off to Australia.
You've been everywhere from Australia to New Zealand. I recently had a little sort of experience touring on a little book tour, and it was exhausting. Exhausting. What's your favorite part of touring, and what is it about the lifestyle that you find challenging?
So touring for me has always been one of my favorite parts about my job. It's definitely the one that's the most like mentally and physically challenging, especially when there's so much traveling involved, which probably is maybe the downfall of it, is spending kind of no longer than a couple days in one place. And I think that takes a toll on your body. But other than that, the feeling of being on stage, and even if I'm like having a bad day, and before I go on stage, if I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this, the second I get up and I sing the first line, I feel at home, and I have this like sense of, I don't know, strength almost. I don't know, being on stage really makes me feel really strong and invincible almost. It gives me a real power, and I really enjoy that feeling of performing and sharing that moment with so many people. The only downfall is really like the travel element of it that really does take a toll on me, but I figured out a way to try and like keep that or make things a bit easier for myself. Like, I love to do yoga, and so that's helped me. I do that every morning, so when I've got a really crazy schedule, if I make an hour's time out of my day to really focus on my mind and my body, it's incredibly helpful.
Fantastic. What's the first thing you do when you get back home, when you travel so much?
First thing I do, no word of a lie, order fish and chips.
That's my girl.
Yeah, it has to. Like, when I'm home, I have to just get that out the way. And then, I love, to see my friends and my family. Sometimes they come and meet me in certain places when I'm touring, but a lot of the time it's too far, or, people are busy. So it's really nice to just get everyone together, cook dinner, watch telly, just do all the really normal things, go to Sainsbury's, and that feels really good.
And I love your family. You're so close.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful to see. I've been on holiday where you've been, then you all travel together. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's so nice to get to share that. The thing is like people, and it's hard for me to explain, like, my job is very extraordinary, but my life is very normal, and it's been that way from my school friends to my family, and the way that I like to spend my time away from work. And so being able to have them with me and bring that piece of home with me really grounds me and centers me, and it's wonderful. I feel very lucky.
I can really attest that the beauty of Dua is she's always with her ride or die friends from when they were kids.
Yeah.
Everywhere. I remember coming to see you backstage, and all your friends were back there with you. So
That was in Milan.
yeah, in Milan. Really great thing that you have. So let's talk about fashion. You've worked with your stylist, Lorenzo, for how many years? Lorenzo's here somewhere wearing Balenciaga. Where is he? Is he hiding? Oh, he's over there in the corner. I mean, you've worn everything on this tour, Balenciaga, Versace, Mugler. How does the process start with him, and do you ever disagree?
I think Lorenzo and I really speak the same language, and I think that's also because we've grown together from the very beginning, you know, from the early shows and performances and tours to you know, to now. And I think what we've always really enjoyed and loved is the whole kind of world building, you know, around a story or a music video. And the outfits that are reflected on the tour are really the outfits and the designers that we worked with very early on, from the first music videos to the first performances, especially for this album. So it was really kind of taking bits from, you know, in Don't Start Now, I have like a yellow Versace bra, and it just felt right that we would have like a Versace moment in the show. And then my first EMA's performance, where I performed Don't Start Now, which kind of kicked off the whole Future Nostalgia era, I was wearing Mugler. And so it was kind of just like taking little pieces that really built the story and created that moment. And it's really special, and I love working with so many incredible designers, and the Balenciaga look that was made for the tour is one of my favorites. And again, that was, you know, our whole, like the tour performance is split up in 4 acts, and it starts from like the dancer size class almost, where I've got the Balenciaga one piece, and that feels very fitting, and it goes all the way to the spacesuit, the Mugler spacesuit, which is, you know, towards levitating and when we're off to the moon. So everything is kind of, it's really curated to the story of the show as well. So.
Do you ever keep the clothes? And where do you store them?
It's a secret. Yes, I do. I do get to keep the clothes, especially the ones from tour, which we really carefully like archive and want to keep for a while. I don't know. Just, yeah.
Do you remember, what are some of your favorite looks you've created with Lorenzo? And what are some brands that you're so proud that you discovered?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, there are so many moments that I love. I mean, wore this beautiful Valentino couture dress for SNL with a big like feather hat, and it was all about making that dress work and the hat work with the performance, and I really loved that. I love this custom butterfly dress that Versace made for me for the Grammys. There's a really amazing Vivienne Westwood piece that was designed for my Brit Awards red carpet, and then we did it for the performance as well, which was really taking a lot of inspiration from lots of archive Vivienne pieces. We like to draw lots of inspiration from you know, previous shows and archives, and creating something that feels new, especially in the whole era of Future Nostalgia. It was kind of that merging of worlds that was really important to us. And then, I mean, there are so many designers that I feel like I really had the chance to grow up with, from, you know, Jacquemus and GCDS and Courrèges and Caperni and
the best of today.
Yeah, and you know, Nicola Brognano at Blue Marine, and I just feel so lucky that I get to work with such incredible creatives, and be able to grow with them in the industry as well, and to see them just do so many incredible things. And yeah,
fantastic. So it's generational. Very important question.
Yes.
Have you ever had a wardrobe malfunction or worn something you later regretted?
Yes.
May you share?
So I guess quite early on, for my first album, I was still figuring out what was kind of stage appropriate and what would work, and now I've got it down to a T. I know where the buttons need to be, I know where I need to be sewed in, I know where everything needs to be for the outfit to stay on. But I had I was wearing a short Alessandra Rich dress for one performance for Jimmy Kimmel, I think, on my first album, and I was wearing these really high stilettos, and I just thought that I could get up and perform and dance in it. And as I was dancing, the dress was riding up, and I feel like I spent the whole performance kind of pulling it down. And the dress was so cute, but I just feel like it probably would have looked better in, like, if I was having a conversation like this rather than me trying to get up and dance. So I think you kind of live and you learn.
Cool. What's the last fashion item you bought?
Gosh, you know, I don't do too much shopping. It's really like if I find something that I love, and then I go for it. I recently bought some really cool vintage archive pieces. I bought a pair of Dior Galliano boots that I'm obsessed with, and this Thierry Mugler dress from the 80s. It's like a leather dress with I wore it for my birthday, and it's got like flames up here, and I was really in love with it. So when I bought it, I was like, I'm going to wear this one at my birthday, and then I'm going to pack it up and save it for God knows when.
Cool. You walked in Balenciaga's couture show earlier this year. How was that experience? And I also know you performed in front of thousands of people. Were you nervous?
Definitely.
Why?
It's just, you know, it's not my usual thing. So there's definitely nerves that come with it, and also like a lot of excitement, because it's such a new experience, and getting to dive into somebody else's world and doing it with you know, all the other models. It was really exciting, and to feel the energy backstage. It was fun. It's chaos, you know, and everyone's excited, and to see all the different outfits. It's a really magical experience. So I loved it.
So you've also revealed your passion for reading, and I hear next week you're delivering a speech at this year's Booker Prize ceremony about the books that have inspired your career and your life. If you could recommend one book to the audience, what would it be?
Gosh, there are so many, amazing books, and so many books I love. I like a lot of sad books now, and like all the books that are coming to my head, to mind that I love are the ones that really kind of tug on your heartstrings. I have to say, A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara really changed my life, and I felt that after reading that book, I just didn't know what other book I could pick up after that would make me feel the same way. I think Pachinko by Min Jin Lee is incredible. I think Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro is a gorgeous book. I think Shuggie Bain is amazing as well. That's by Douglas. I can't remember the surname right now off the top of my head, but he just put out a new book called Young Mungo, which is meant to be even more heart-wrenching. So I have that on my bookstand waiting to be read, so I'm excited about that. But
start a book club.
I would love to start a book club. I have a deep passion and love for talking about books and sharing what I've learnt from them and talking about them with my friends and stuff. So yeah, maybe.
Great. So you're a compulsive list maker. What notes are on your phone right now?
Well, I'm off to Australia next for tour, so there's lots of restaurants and things I want to do and see while I'm out there. I've also been working on my new album, so there's just lots of like...
Can you tell us anything?
So I've got lots of notes in preparation for that. The album, it's coming along. I'm really happy. It's coming to a good place, so I'm starting to feel good about it.
Can you tell us about your songwriting process?
So for me, when I go in, it always starts off by just like getting it all out, like a therapy session, talking about what's going on in my life. And then, you know, with the producer, we start on an idea, and sometimes it's a couple chords that get a melody going. Sometimes I know exactly what I want to write about on the day. And it's a very like free-flowing kind of session. You know, you start off with a word, and then it goes off into a story, and then you build it like that. Before, I used to always come to the studio with like little poems or things that I'd already written, and then try and find a melody that would fit that to build the story. Whereas now I feel like my songwriting's really evolved, and I really go on the basis of a melody, and then I fit the story to that. But it changes. It really changes depending on what I want to say that day.
Cool. So you've interviewed so many people on your podcast. I've been there, and I've just the past
we did.
month
We
I've
did
done
one
a few,
together.
quite a few, and yours was really special. You've had, oh my God, Olivia Roostang, Elton John, Amal. Who haven't you had in your show that you would most love to have?
I've recently been rewatching a lot of Pedro Almodovar movies, and he's definitely one of my favorite directors, and I would absolutely love to interview him at some point. I just think I think the way he writes and the stories that he creates, and his films, and the way that they're shot, and the colors that are used, and the fashion, and the everything it's so well thought out, and they really make me feel something, and so that's somebody's brain I would definitely like to pick a little.
I know him, and he does this incredible thing where he sends you sort of like a big box with all different kinds of things in it, like records and sort of inspiration cards, and
oh, cool.
I have to put the two of you up together.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
So, who are some of your role models, and who do you go to for advice?
My parents. They've always been my role models. They're always someone they're both of them, I go to them for like safety and comfort, and like they'll always tell me the truth no matter what, and they're really honest, and they're my soundboard. So yeah, and they've like instilled this insane work ethic in me. I've seen them like work non-stop, 2 jobs while I was growing up, and never making me feel like I ever missed out on anything, and it's really amazing to have that when you're growing up, and it's just really pushed me to want to do better and be better, and so
I always remember Dua's father's so incredible, your parents are incredible, and your father's also your manager.
Yeah.
And I remember what he said to me. He said, what I love most about my daughter is when she commits to doing something, she'll follow it through. She will never back out. And that's really true.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's really true.
Thank you.
So better than that. You always use your platform for good. You created the Sunny Hill Festival with your father in Kosovo. Mm-hmm. You also helped launch the largest campaign in support of Kosovo visa liberation in Europe.
Yes.
Tell us about these initiatives and why are they so important to you?
So for those of you that I guess don't know, my parents are originally from Kosovo, and I lived there from the age of 11 to 15. And Kosovo is just a really big part of my life. It's really where I feel at home, and I feel like my roots are really there. Albanian was my first language before English. And so I'm deeply connected to Kosovo, and especially while I was living there, I had this, the first concert I ever went to was Method Man and Redman, because they came to Kosovo, and then it was 50 Cent. And I became extremely passionate about 50 Cent. I was like, this is my favorite artist in the world, and I love him. And I learned all his, lyrics, and I read his book and watched his movie, and I was really excited that an artist was going to come to Kosovo. And when I was a kid, all I wanted was like to have, maybe my favorite female pop star or something come to Kosovo, but it's such a small place that and the opportunities are so small that it was never something that was going to happen over there. And we always had this dream to do a festival there and bring artists to Kosovo and show them Kosovo and change kind of the rhetoric around war-torn Kosovo and everything that had happened after the war in Yugoslavia. And I think there's just a big stigma around what it's like over there. And so for me, it's like bringing the artists, creating a festival where we have international and domestic artists showing what our country is like and what the audience is like. And we've had incredible people come and join us this year. It was really special. We had J Balvin and Diplo and Skepta. and we had Miley Cyrus come down one year, which was the first female artist like international female artist to come and like do an incredible show in Kosovo. And you know, those things really mean a lot to the people, and it meant a lot to us to be able to create something like that. And it's all in aid of you know, different NGOs in Kosovo that we feel like really better the youth out there. And it was a way of giving back to our country and our community, and a place that has really given me so much. And the visa liberalization, it's basically this hashtag that we started, which is Set Me Free, which was in conjunction with our festival, which was to kind of bring attention to the fact that people in Kosovo, even with their passport, you know, you need a visa to just go into Europe. And we've been doing all the work, all the governmental work that needs to be done, and still we're not being approved the right to have, well, the right to move. And there's in Kosovo, we're the youngest Europeans, with people kind of the average age. It's a very young population, with the average age between like 24 to 35, and I think it's just incredibly important because there's so much talent, there's so much you know, to give, and they want to be able to explore and to see other places. And so for us, it's incredibly important that you know, Kosovo has that opportunity and can be a part of Europe. I know the UK's left Europe, but we'll happily take their place if it's going. So yeah, we're working towards that, because it really it's incredibly important to be a part of a support system.
Fantastic. Last question before we go to the pre-submitted audience questions. You seem to be doing everything at the moment. What's next? And is there anything you haven't explored that interests you?
Well, I'm working on my new album, so that's really taking priority for me right now, and also finishing my tour, which will end in December. And then, I don't know, I'm going to put a lot of my focus into Service 95 and building that, the podcast and the newsletter, and doing more with that. That's something that's really at the top of my list for the new year. And then maybe this book club that we've been talking about today. And then we'll see. Who knows? I'm just excited to stay curious and stay creative, and we'll see where that takes us.
Great. So now I'm going to read out some audience-approved questions.
Okay.
Dua, how do you find the inspiration for your everyday looks? Because they're always a major slay. Slay all day, as they say. I love that word.
Slay all day. Where do I find inspiration? For me, it was just a massive, you know, when I was a kid, it was always like, what could I get out the dress-up box? And now I get to do it with things that are a little bit nicer. So it's just really fun to experiment, and I love to play with color, and I just feel like there's kind of no do's and don'ts in fashion. I think you can really try and experiment and see how you feel and what makes you feel good, and you know, I think it's all very subjective, and it's all down to you. So you can if you like it, you can make it work. So.
Amen. What's something you learned recently that you really should have already known?
To give my phone to like my friend to hide in her bag when I'm out on a night out drunk or something, because that never ends well. I think that's definitely a lesson I knew, but I didn't listen to.
Dua, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you all for being